that I'm still processing. But the bottom line is this job, the one I'm in, and I would say this for any professional general manager or coach, requires complete engagement, complete effort, 1,000%. And if you can't do it, then you shouldn't do it. And so that's the answer to the question of why. I can't do that to our players. I can't do that to Joe and Peter. Really, I can't do it to myself. And that's a question I've been wrestling with. Appreciate your patience, letting me make that decision, everybody in this room. I've only known how to do things one way my whole life, is kind of all the way. And it doesn't feel right to do something when I can't give it everything. And that's what it takes to do what we've done over the last, for me, 12 years. I have a tremendous amount of respect for everyone within the Warriors, especially Joe and Peter. Joe, you gave me an opportunity to work for this organization. Nobody else did. I was just an agent, a young agent that hadn't done a ton. And got hired by what at the time was, I think, the most expensive purchase of an NBA team. Pretty gutsy call on Joe and Peter's part. I think about those memories of the brand new, trying to figure it out days. Joe was a new owner. I was a new GM. Kirk was there, and people like Raymond and Brandon and Larry Riley teaching me in my first year patience. I kind of wanted to come in and thought, like a lot of people, you can figure it out, and learn quickly the humbling part of the job. But he accepted me. Guys like Travis Schlenk, Larry Harris, people that were there before me. Larry was a GM. I knew Larry when I was an agent. He's a great friend today and always will be. Travis. It's really the people that you do it with. But those people, the original people that were there, there's a special place back in Oakland for all of us when it began, and it's hard to go back that far because so much has happened. When Joe hired Jerry, I knew Jerry, and getting to work with him was a joy. One of the best things I've ever gotten to do. Learning from him, but mostly just getting to know him. What an amazing guy. Forget about the basketball side of him, just as a person. And Joe and I getting to know him and sharing his energy and passion. It's hard to watch a game with Jerry because he's competitive. But I passed that on to Kirk and some other people a few years in. I said, he's too much to watch a game with. Rick Welts also was one of the originals. What a decent man. What a great leader. Helped shepherd the business side into what it is today. All great people. Joe and Peter have done a tremendous job. And I would like to think I'm evidence of how good they are at hiring great people and letting them do their job. Mark Jackson was my first coach, and Mark was so right for the time. He was what we needed. We needed confidence. Our players needed it. Our organization needed it, and he brought it in only the way that he could, and got us to start believing in ourselves. And that's an important thing, and he brought that confidence and leadership. And as I think about making the playoffs, was such a huge thing for the Warriors. And I think that was 2012, my first year as GM. And then beating Denver. I remember going to that Denver series just thinking, I hope we don't get swept. Just hope we don't get swept. And obviously winning the series and playing the Spurs was the beginning of all of it. It was the beginning of this. And the players were showing us the way and leading us and guiding us. And then Steve came along, and oh boy, you know, what a guy. What a once in a lifetime friendship, once in a lifetime person who is such a, I mean, he's a fantastic coach. He's an all-time top Hall of Fame coach, but you know, you can go through a whole life and not meet people like that, not make friendships like that. It's super rare. Most GMs and coaches don't like each other. And I can see why. It's pretty set up to fail. Your fault. No, it's your fault. No, you're doing it wrong. You should play these guys. No, you got me the wrong players. It's so set up to fail. But he, you know, winning a championship in 15 with him, you know, when Steve's in the room, it just makes you feel better about the room. He has the way of doing that. You've all been in here with him so many times, and he just has a calming presence. He's got, like I said, decency, a humanity that is rare, and also is a fantastic coach and has led this organization for, I think, 9 years, and will continue to lead this organization. The players, what can you say? They're the reason that I've loved it so much. They're the reason for the success. I got a chance to talk to most of them, most of the key guys. You know, some people say the GM shouldn't be, you don't get close to the players. You might have to cut them, or you might get emotional, not pay them or whatever it is. I kind of push back and go, what is the point of any job if you don't like and build relationships with who do you go to work with? What is the point? Some would say to win. Okay. But who are you doing that with? And what happens after that? And so, I mean, Steph Curry is just, you can't even begin to, can't overstate who he is. When I talked to him, it's so rare of somebody of his caliber to be who he is. And I think people know him for what he does, but how lucky is this organization to have him as its leader? And for me to get to watch him be that guy for my whole time here, what a gift to me. And that's one I could never repay, ever. But it's great that he's staying. It's great that he's here. I mean, Draymond, you know, we've been through a lot too, from watching games with, you know, the game in the finals, when he got suspended, to all the conversations that no one knows about. Clay, I remember with Larry Island, I met with him at Scott's Seafood over in Oakland, and he could barely talk in his rookie kind of get to know you tryout with us. And now look at him. He's very comfortable in his own skin, and 4 championships later. And Iguodala, who took about 3 years to get to know because he doesn't trust anybody. But what a unique leader. He was a huge part of that first championship, and to watch Looney become who he is, just wonderful people that have graced this organization and will be remembered kind of forever. Durant called me today. He's in Monaco. You know, what he did for us, showing up here, knowing what he would hear about when he made that decision, for him to have that courage. I remember Joe and I were on the phone with him right before he decided, and you could tell he knew what might be coming down his road if he came to us. And for him to do it and to completely deliver on everything that you would want, 2 finals MVPs, 3 in a row championships, taking us to the finals, 3 finals appearances, but 2 championships. What a talent. What a great, if you like basketball, watching him and Steph and these guys play, I mean, that was, I'd do that for free. Sean came to work with us. I don't know if you know Sean, but another, just these people are so hard to find in sports. They're so rare. Getting to know Andrew, watching him show up, watching him become him. All these guys. I mean, Jordan, some of the main guys, and even some of the young guys. It's just, it's what makes it great. Makes it hard to leave. Guys that have been here before: Bogut, David Lee, David West, Ozzy LB, JaVale. I mean, it's the journey with all these players, with all the coaches going through it, with Alvin and Mike and Luke and all the people that went on to be head coaches here. And it's what makes it great. I want to thank Rick Celebrini and his staff for getting all our guys healthy, trying to get me healthy, although that hasn't quite happened yet. I've stolen some of Rick's time. But Rick and Drew and their whole staff, what they do is underappreciated, but hugely important. My group, that's who I really get to do it with. Kirk and Mike, Larry, Kent, Nick, Sean, Pabel, Ansi, David, Ryan, Hannah, Nea, Chloe. I get all the people in my position. It looks like I'm doing these things. I know full well that it's us, and it'll always have been us. And we win together, and we lose together, and we succeed, and we fail. Thank you for helping me, doing it with me, challenging me, supporting me, befriending me. That's my team of people. To the fans, oh boy. I grew up a fan of the Warriors. I was like the 10-year-old kid up in the upper Oracle. I was telling the business side who I just met with that I get Warriors tickets for my birthday. And it was, months in advance. This is when you actually got the hard tickets. There's no digital tickets. So my brother, my dad, and I would go. And I was born in 75, and that was the last championship. And to feel like I had helped give this fan base and this community, did my part, not perfectly, but as best I could, to get some more of those things. And Joe said it when he got hired, or not hired. Joe didn't get hired when he bought the team. They were going to have more of those. And I remember looking at that thinking, how the Warriors aren't very, how are you going to do that? And boy, did he do it. And it's crazy to see those 4 new ones up there and where the organization has come. But I'm so thankful. I wish, part of me wishes I could have been a fan during it all. I might have enjoyed it more, and I hate saying that, but I might have, sitting up there in the upper deck or wherever I was sitting. But wow, the people that I see on the streets, the people I see in the airports, very kind fan base. And we haven't gotten everything right. I did get yelled at a few times about we didn't sign a big man at the buyout. It's not as easy as everyone thinks. We do like big guys, contrary to popular belief. Joe especially likes size. He'll tell you himself. But thank you for your support. Thank you for your passion, understanding that we're human. We try harder than you can even imagine to give you what you deserve. I wake up at 3 a.m. I've woken up at 3 a.m. way too many times for a job. But as you all may know, it's more than a job. And that's why I love it. And that's why it's hard to leave it. Lastly, before I take questions, I want to thank my wife and my daughters for getting on this train with me. It's a fast one. And once you're on it, you're on it. And being there with me in a crazy kind of awesome way. I tell my daughters, I would have done anything to be in a Warriors parade. and they've gotten to be in 4. Well, one of them has, and one of them I forget, but they've done enough. They've gotten enough success. But thank you for you, and always reminding me like that you're when I work, you take care of the kids, and that is I couldn't do my job if you didn't do yours, and that means a lot to me, and it's a lot of sacrifice. I was at dinner last night talking to my family, and I said to my daughters, I said, thank you guys too for being there. And I missed a lot of stuff, but we had some great times, but thank you guys for kind of allowing me to do it and being there. And one of my daughters says, Dad, and I said, I'm thinking, okay, we'll get some feet. She said, Dad, you pass the ketchup? So kids are fine. Family's good. They're worried about their own situations. But I'm sure they'll miss it as they all will as we move through it. So lastly, to everybody here, when I started, I think it was this guy over here in the red and white hat, Marcus and Rusty. I don't know if Steinmetz was in the mix at that time. He might have been moved on, but it wasn't this. And it's been fun watching it become this. This is what you want. And it wasn't an internet, and it wasn't social media. It was, I guess, the Chronicle and the Contra Costa Times. Simpler, but thank you for all of you. You covered me fairly. You cover us fairly. Getting to know some of you. I like all of you. You have hard jobs too. I have no idea how hard, but I know it's hard. And hopefully, I think Raymond's about as good as they come. And hopefully he's been a good partner for you as much as I think he has. This team, and then I'm going to take questions. This team is in great shape. It's in great shape. Joe's not going anywhere. He has supported me. He has given me. If there was a metric on cost per win, I don't know how good I'd be, because we've spent a lot of money because he's so competitive, because he cares so much, and to have an owner like that puts his heart and his will and his money into winning, you cannot ask for anything more, and that's not changing. Got a fantastic coach. You've got arguably one of the best players to ever play and one of the best people to ever play in Steph Curry. So the future's unbelievably bright. I know that some people have said I'm leaving because there's a lot of big decisions. Well, it's been a lot worse than this. There's been a lot harder summers than this when we started and in the past. So I have great confidence in what's to come, and have no doubt that much success will still be forthcoming. So sorry I went all over the place, but that's it. I'll answer any questions you have.
You're listening to Bob Myers on 95.7 The Game, stepping down as president and general manager of the Golden State Warriors.
And when you describe the job that requires complete engagement, could you share a little bit of the timeline about when you first started considering a departure? When did those feelings get really real? And would you describe this as a family decision?
Well, every decision is a family decision, but I know it's been my wife's. If I stayed, she support me. My family would support me. 2019, we've been in the finals 5 years in a row. That's a lot. It's exactly what you want. It's exactly what you do it for. And I had to figure out then what was left. Finals take a lot out of you. Some of you have covered us for the finals. So for 4 years ago, I thought, can I keep doing this? And how can I keep doing it? Talked to Joe. He said, what do you need? We brought Mike in. I've got a tremendous amount. It's only because of the help I've had over the last 4 years. But you think about it, I've thought about it, Kareth, but really, I wanted to go through this season, just focus on the season. And then when the season ended, I started thinking, do I have what is required to do it the way I know it needs to be done? And it's a personal thing, right? And so for me, it was just, it's hard because it's so public. I don't love that it's so public, but I get why it is. I would just wish you could leave a job like most people. And your reasons are your reasons. But I started thinking about it when the season ended, and had thoughts prior, but really when the season ended, and people can do it however they want. I have great respect for every GM in any sport. They do it however they want. I know how I have to do it, and if I can't do it that way, I can't do it.
Bob, you know how hard this is for you, but what's the hardest part of coming to this decision, knowing how close you are to the guys and everything?
Well, the hardest part is I love the people at my work, and I won't get to see them as much, and I won't get to help them as much as I can. That's a tough thing, but I also know that they deserve the parts of me that I got to be able to give, but it'll be the people. I guess I'm probably semi-addicted to the competitiveness, maybe more than I think. This is an intoxicating thing. I will probably have a hard time with it. Games become part of your life. Coming to games, road games are on TV. You feel it. You wake up in the morning. The competitiveness, there's nothing like it. It's just high stakes. So I'll miss that because you can't really find that. It's a hard thing to find. It's a tough thing to live in, but there's an awesomeness to the competition at the highest level, and to compete in the finals and do all those things. I'll miss watching games. I'll miss going to games. I love basketball. I love it. It's my first love. Being this close, watching Curry warm up, being with Steve, being with my group, battling it out with Joe on the wrong thing. Those are just, it's a constant thing, and I don't know how I'm going to do. But there's a lot of things I'm going to miss, and I'm sure I'll find those things out as time passes.
You mentioned, the organization's in great shape. You mentioned Joe, Steve, and Steph. You do leave a void, obviously. How do you expect that to be filled? Obviously, you have a stable of people under you. Just what type of shape do you think the front office generally is in? I think
it's in fantastic shape. I get more credit than I deserve. There's people that work with me that deserve more credit and are going to get a chance to do more. They've already done more than people probably know. That's the great thing about this, in that it's a team. It's not me that does all these things by myself. It's my group, and they're tremendous, and they deserve more attention and credit than they've ever gotten. Joe will probably answer the next thing, and also whatever that is will be with my full support. I end on June 30th. I'll help out whenever way makes sense for everybody. But like I said, Joe, he's sitting right here. I wouldn't have hired me 12 years ago. Why would he hire me? I was an agent. He bought this big purchase. He could have hired probably anybody, and he hired me. So he's good at this. He got Rick Welts, brought in Jerry, Steve. This franchise it's one of the best franchises in the world, and it's his. So whatever decision he wants to go with will be a good one. It'll be a good one, but I'm sure you can ask him. He'll address it.
Hey, Bob, you talked about Steph, Draymond, Klay Thompson, guys that, you've been attached to as much as anyone in this organization. What was it like telling them that you were going to leave, and what was that conversation like, and how did that feel for you?
It's hard. Those guys are, you think about what you go through with people, and it's not all great. Most of it's been unbelievable, but I guess, Logan, on those things, it's easier because I think I'll still talk to those guys. I mean, I want to. I think those relationships are real. So it's not goodbye, but it's more like, you guys they're going to keep going. This is just my stop. The train is powerful. This thing's moving, but it's just, I got to get off. It's hard. But it's funny. I was talking to Steph and a little bit, and I go, I feel like you're not really trying to change my mind. He started laughing. He goes, no, it hurts. He says, but he understands. The people that know me understand. But you can't take away what we've done and what we've been through. And my hope is that those relationships last a long, long time. If they don't, it's too bad. I screwed something up, because what's the point of 12 years if you walk away and you don't have those? I don't understand that. So I think they're good. But it's always tough. The people that have been here, not that the people have been here short amount of time, it's hard too, but there's some people like those guys. That's a long time to work with someone and to accomplish what we did. So it's a bittersweet one.
You're listening to the Bob Myers press conference. Bob stepping down from president and general manager of the Golden State Warriors. You're listening to 95.7 The Game.
Preparing him to replace you, that he was a guy who could replace you. And I know it's Joe's and Peter's decision. Is he ready to replace you?
Well, Mike's great. He's as good a GM as if he wants it, he'll be great if that's what he wants. But it's his call. It's Joe's call. It's not my call, but that's what he wants to do. He'll be great. He knows more about basketball than I do. He's grew up in it. He was born into it with his dad. He played in it. That's his calling. And that wasn't my thought at the time, honestly. I just thought we're always looking for people that'll make us better. Joe's always about bringing in talent. I didn't have an idea at the time that I was grooming him. I mean, he's more my friend than coworker, but he's really good. And he would be fantastic if that's the choice. But I'd be lying if I thought 4 years ago, let's bring in Mike and he can assume this thing. If I told him if that's what he wants, then I'm all fully supportive. I said I'll help with Draymond if he needs it. But yeah, just, you know what? I look at things like that, Tim, as who's part of the solution, and he's part of the solution in whatever role that is. If he stays in the role he's in, great. If he wants to do more and that's what the decision is, it'll be great.
Bob, a couple of weeks ago at the season ender, Steve talked about just kind of the difficulties of this year in particular, and the lack of chemistry and the lack of trust issues that started obviously in October. I'm just wondering, you said you took a long time to think about this, but did this season in particular take a added emotional toll on you?
Yeah, well, yes, but that's not why I'm leaving. This was a hard year. I don't know. I'd be lying if I said it wasn't. There has been hard years though, and there's been tough ones. Even when we were winning those years with Durant and those teams that there was no outcome that was acceptable except winning. I think we were favored in every game we played. It's just great, but pressure. This year, I don't know. It's hard to repeat, and there were some tough things this year. I'm not going to discount those, but some people asked me, if the team wins the championship, would you leave? I think yes. So if this was a perfect year, it might have still been the time. I don't know, but they all come with their own challenges. There's one happy GM at the end of the year. It's a hard one. One happy coach, one happy team. Luckily we got to be happy 4 times.
Hey, Bob, first of all, congratulations on a great run. Aside from spending more time with your family, of course, do you know what's next for you? Do you know how you'll spend most of your time? Any projects on your mind? Just be a regular basketball fan? What does the next year or so look for you?
Well, my wife said we're going to get a drink maybe on the way home. Nenea, who's awesome, who helped me over the last, I think Nenea became famous when she got a ring. She brought in gave me a little glass of champagne an hour or so ago. I don't need to know that. I don't know that answer. And I guess I don't need to know that answer. I'm in a narrow lane. Cause I love basketball so much. But I don't know. I've never really stopped going. I went right from an agent to this. I went to law school at night after college. I just my whole life, it's been like, maybe it'll be good for me to sit still. I don't know how good I'll be at it, but I've actually never done it, and maybe figure some things out. And I don't know what's coming.
Bob. Hey, Bob. Jason kind of touched on what I was going to ask you, but some of the activities you mentioned that you've missed with your girls. What are some of those? And might you become a youth coach or anything? Are they having, I don't know, piano recitals or things that you're going to do to maybe fill some of that void?
Yeah, look, I make a lot of things, Janie. I try. I think what'll be different is sometimes it's not about showing up. It's about being present. So I can physically be there. I'm physically there as much as I can be. As much as any GM can be. But there's a mental part. Like when our games are going on, you're thinking about that. I tried to be my oldest daughter's kindergarten basketball coach. It did not work well. It's going to be tough for me because I love my family. But it's very hard to move out of this kind of hyper competitive world. But I don't know. I mean, I think I'll sit with that and see. And I love my kids. I love my wife. That's never going to change. But I don't think I'm done working. I'm going to do something, but they're great. I'm lucky. With the 3 daughters keep me sane. I got enough men and boys in my life around here, so it balances itself out.
Bob, my apologies for more of a straight basketball question, but beyond the 4 championships, obviously one thing you'll be remembered for, one big thing you guys embarked on was the 2 timelines and trying to sort of develop the next core. How do you sort of reflect on that? I mean, it's a difficult thing to do or to try. And as you leave, where do you think how did that work? Where do you think that stands?
Yeah, I mean, I don't think we said that, but I see the narrative. We, myself, Joe, us, all of us, we're just trying to put together the best team we can every year. And we got it right last year. I guess if you don't win, you don't get it right. So then you go back to the drawing board and see what you did right, what you did wrong. The effort of this organization is first class. The desire to win is pure, but the beauty of and what makes this job so fun, Ron, is you get to try again. You lose in the second round, and you say, well, that wasn't good enough. So what are we going to do? I don't know that we put a timeline on. When we have talked, it's not about let's focus on the second timeline here, or this is a first timeline thing. It's trying to win championships. An owner doesn't spend $360 million if he's worried about the next thing. An owner spends that, he wants to win a championship. And trust me, that's all Joe wants to do. And I know it's been one last thing before he comes up. This wasn't about money. Just want to make that clear. It's not about money. I make plenty of money. I got offered plenty of money. So thank you for that.